Is your style tend to go with the flow? That's question tonight because guess what? If you tend to go with the flow, there might be a chance that you might not reach all the goals you want to have. Because guess what? If you don't plan it, what happens is that you may not achieve it. So here's the plan of the topic for tonight, where we are talking about non-negotiables so that we can try to get the best outcome as possible for our goals, visions, and what's good for us for the future. So let's double check to make sure we have some sound, to make sure things look good. We've got sound, so we're ready to go. So I was listening to a video from Dan Martell, and I forget which video it was, but it was about his non-negotiable. And I decided to look into his ideas and to apply it to students, teachers, and leaders. So tonight we're going to talk about this idea that students need to have some non-negotiables so they can plan their day, so they can focus on what's important for them and be able to move forward and increase success. For teachers, I'm going to put together teachers and leaders together as well. This idea here is that if you have in your days non-negotiables, what happens is that it will allow you to have to plan goals and be able to achieve them as well. So these are the topics we're going to cover tonight, and hopefully you'll see it will be exciting. So what are the main non-negotiables? First of all, if you don't know me, my name is Alain Faber, and I've been teaching in high school for the last 25 years. And I started this podcast because I thought I was to plan a podcast and get my students to do a podcast in their classroom. And I decided that I wanted to start a podcast before I could teach my students how to do it. The idea of the podcast in the classroom never materialized, but I decided to continue because I think it's a skill that is important. And second, it is important as a teacher to be a role model as well. And we never know. Every time I learn something new, I am able to share with my students as well. So in his video, Dan Martell was talking about his non-negotiables. So here he had 5 of them. And let's see if I can more or less say quickly what they are. The first one is the first non-negotiable is to feed your body so that you can be the healthiest person you can be. Second, it is to move your body so that you can get the blood flowing so that you can be more alert in mind and spirit. The third one is to feed your soul and learning. This is what we do as students every day and teachers every day as well in the school. And the last 2 were about being able to take action for his business. So tonight we're going to divide the non-negotiables in 4 parts. One is feed your body. The other one, move your body. The third one is feed your soul and learn. And the 4th one is about, what I said it already, is to take action. Because if you have those 4 non-negotiables, guess what? Every time you move on, you'll be able to get something amazing. So let's see. If you're new to my podcast, I divide always the podcast in 3 parts. One is the student's perspective, the second is the teacher's perspective, and the third segment is the leader's perspective. So tonight we have the student's perspective, and teachers and leader will be in together. So what are non-negotiables for students? So here's a few things. You have to keep in mind that as a student, you have a set amount of time during the day to do everything that you need to do, but also to enjoy yourself and be the best version of who you are every day. So that means that as a student, these are the things you need to do. So the first one is to feed your body. So indeed, some people in the morning may not have breakfast and then they rush during the morning and they have lunch and so on. One of the ideas for students is to take responsibility for feeding their body. So that means that they may want to look into new recipes, participate in the household for shopping to make sure that things are good, making sure that new ideas are there. Because guess what? Parents and guardians do the best they can, but often we fall into habits with respect to food. And therefore, students, teenagers, young ones, they have a chance to influence their parents and guardians to be able to try something new. Because if you can feed your body, you will feel much better. That's the first one. Often when I go for grocery, I always ask around what do they feel like eating. So often the first thing they say is small fruits. They always enjoy some good veggies, but often they ask for different kind of big veggies. And when I'm at grocery store, I'm always looking at is there something I haven't bought for a while that makes a big difference. And at the end, if there's a whole bunch of veggies that are not used, you can always put it in a soup and with some chicken and other meats, and it is amazing. So this is the first non-negotiable, feeding your body. The second one is about to move your body. So too often, if you think of students, they have their classes, they have 3 or 4 or 5 classes in a day. Often some of them are sitting on a chair, they're not moving very much. So it is important if you have a chance to find ways to move as much as possible. So if you take the bus, you can, the city bus, for example, you can just get off one stops before, or so that you can walk a little bit. If you are taking the school bus, you can certainly, when you get off at the school, you can always go around, do a lap around the schoolyard before you go to school. That's possible. And indeed, if you walk or cycle every day, that's always a good thing. At my school, we're lucky because there are 2 buildings. So every day, students have to go from one building to the other. They have to go outside, and that's the best way to move their body. Now, some of them will say, well, sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows, it's hot, it's cold. Well, that's true. However, imagine the idea that if you did not do that, you'd be inside a building all the time. So here it's December. Usually it gets, the sun rises at about, let's see, 7:45 right now, or 7:30, 7:45, and then it sets down maybe at the 4:45. So that means that soon, by the end of December, if you don't go outside during the daytime, you go in the building, it's dark outside, and you leave the school and it's dark outside. So you have to be able to find ways to move your body outside if you can, and inside the school, there's always all kind of things we can do to stay active. The third part will be to feed your soul and feed your learning. So what happens there? We have to keep in mind that school is the best thing for that, because every day you go to school where you get to know more about your classmates, you get to know more about new topics, you have a chance to do new activities, so you have a better understanding of yourself and the world around you. So as a student, you have an amazing advantage ahead of everybody else, because often once you leave school, if you don't make a point to learn something new all the time, there are less opportunities. So hopefully when we say that students, we're training them to be lifelong learners, that's something we want to do, because once you start learning, then you are the same person, and then you stay the same person year after year, and that we don't want to see that. The fourth part I'm going to say is about taking action. That has to be a non-negotiable in your classroom. So what does that mean to take action? I have some ideas for you. So sometimes when you go to school and you learn different things, taking action means that you get home and you do a few cue cards, or you summarize the key topics of the day. So that means that you are taking information from your mind, you put it on paper or on computers, you do a graphing organizer, you can do all kind of different activities where you are like downloading the information so that you are making the information yours. I think that's quite amazing. And on top of that, if you have a chance to help your classmates and help others to better understand topics, that's even better. And another option is to volunteer. So after school, sometimes you can volunteer in different places to give, not just to give your time, but to share your time and expertise to give other people amazing experiences. That is taking action. And the other one here is extracurricular activities. These are also amazing. Because if you don't take action to help others or take action to use what you know, what happens here is that you end up by yourself, thinking about yourself. And then what can you do from there? It's you stay put unless you decide that what you learn, what you do, you share with others. Because you'll notice that sometimes, often, most of the time actually, if you are helping others, that's the easiest way to build happiness in your life. Because if you help others, you can see smiles, and it is amazing, and it warms your heart. That's the way to go. So these are the four things, the four non-negotiables I have for students. First one, feed your body. Then move your body. Third, feed your soul and learn every day. And the fourth one is to take action so that you can apply what you are doing. So that is my first perspective here for the students' perspective. Now, let's go to my second portion of the podcast where we are talking about the teacher's perspective. Now, here I was looking at so the tricky one is that if I say that teachers need to have non-negotiables, that means that I have to have non-negotiables as well. So let's see what are the four parts, and I'm going to share with you what are my non-negotiable as I go along. I'm still learning, and hopefully you'll be able to appreciate this as well. If it happens you have non-negotiables in your life, put them in the comments below. I'd love to learn from you as well. So the first one for non-negotiable is to feed my body. So teachers, often we tend to be on the run. We get up in the morning. By the time we get to school, we've already thought of the whole day. We are organizing activities all the time. We help people before school, during school, at lunchtime, after school. So what happens often is that we eat on the run, and we don't always take time to eat. Now, what the best way for me to help that is that I eat leftovers for lunch. So I take time in the evening before, well, every day. I cook dinner and I cook a little bit more, so I know I have good food for the day after. Now, the reason for that is that if you eat well, then your body will feel much better and your mind will feel much better as well. Because if, and you may have known, sometimes you eat some food and then you feel sluggish after. And it's not good because your students need you to be there at 100% every time you are working. So thinking of Dan Martel and his non-negotiable, feeding your body is important. And that's something I've been working on, not just trying, but working on with successes and failure, is to eat better. And I was thinking so today when I came home, I said, okay, let's look at what's in the fridge so that we can eat leftovers so that I can't go for the grocery tomorrow. And what I realized is that there was food that I cooked maybe 5 or 6 days ago that I forgot that was there. So as much as I want to plan ahead and cook a lot of food so that I'm ready for the following days, I've been forgetting that. And I was thinking how the best way for me to eat better is actually to go to the grocery store every 2 or 3 days. It allows me to buy what I want at the time, and then I have a fresh idea of what I want to do. Someone had suggested a few months ago to shop once a week and then get all the food all together so that you save time. You save time by going to the grocery store only once a week. But by doing that, I realized that I think I've wasted more food that is necessary. So that was my thought. As you can see, I was doing laundry. So my thought is I'm going to try again to go to store every 2 or 3 days to allow me to have fresh food, but also to keep fresh this idea of eating well and wasting less food. I think that's important because my perspective is you can have a pantry at home and a fridge where you keep food ready for you. But the best pantry and the best fridge is actually the whole grocery store. If you think of the whole grocery store as your pantry, then you can go choose and pick what you need to do. You pick what is on sale that day when you go, and then you can go from there. And some of you says, well, it might cost a bit more money because you are maybe having less bulk. You buy in less. You're not buying in bulk. That's true. But if I waste less food, then overall, it most likely will be cheaper. So that's something to look into. So feeding my body is very important. So second one, with respect to teachers, is to move your body. Too often teachers need to, especially in 2024, when I do planning, I need to plan for my class, then I need to put the information on a computer, then I need to organize them on a computer, I need to prep the resources, and I'm sitting at my desk. So there's a lot of sitting all day. when I teach, I tend to always be up. I rarely sit. So that's one way for me to move around. However, I know that a lot of teachers sometimes are not moving as much as they could. And keeping in mind that as teachers, you are a role model. So you have to make sure that you can show your students the best version of yourself so they can see good role models for themselves. So at my school, we have 2 campuses, so that's all good. Sometimes I find reasons to go on the South campus to be able to talk to a few people so that I come back on the North campus. And sometimes I just walk around the track before I get to the next building. And that allows me to move more. Just before the podcast, actually, I said, well, I had not gone for a walk or a long walk. And I went out, and it was probably, let's see, it was 6:30, so just before. And I walked for about 40 minutes. And interestingly enough, it's very, very dark outside. And my big worry is meeting skunks, because I know that in the morning when I look around at the window, there's a few skunks in the area. So it's always tricky. I need to find ways to walk more during the daytime. So that's my thing here. Moving is important. The third non-negotiable for teachers is basically to feed your soul and feed your mind and learning something new. That's something that I enjoy as a teacher. There's always something new to learn so that you can always bring new ideas to your class. It keeps your lessons fresh and it allows you to have more fun. That's my perspective anyway. I know there's some teachers that the best way they love to teach is to receive resources from others, resources from publications. And what they do is they become reporters of information. And it is amazing. And so being a reporter of information, they feel that they know exactly what they need to do every day. And that works beautifully. On the other hand, I enjoy reporting, but I never have every semester the same kind of lessons and the same kinds of work for the students. And the reason for that is I feel that science changes all the time and it keeps it fun for me. Even though I'm working on trying to see how I can mainstream my thoughts so that I can have a core topic so that once it is set, then I can add to that. And the reason for that is I have a lot of resources and I'm trying to find the best way to communicate them to others. And I know that the only way to do that is to create the system. And from creating the system, then I can add to it. So that's my plan for this one. And the other one for feeding my soul is to go for a walk in nature. Because if I don't go outside, I don't have the chance to ground myself. And that's the one thing I like to do. Some of you say, well, you can feed your soul or learn by reading. That is true. However, I read a lot of work from our students' work all semester. And at the end of the day, I tend to not want to read other things. So that's something that I need to work on possibly, even though I take my time in the summer to read more. Oh, thank you very much for your patience on the noise. So that is my third non-negotiable. You got to learn in order to be able to become a better teacher. Because if the fun thing is that if you learn all the time, then you have a chance to know how your learners and your students feel when they learn. And that's the best way for you to be in touch with them. Because if you don't learn anything new, then you might forget that they are a learner. And sometimes you might go a bit faster for them than necessary. So let's see. The next one will be about taking action. There you go. So as teachers and leaders, you need to take action so that you can make your classes, to make your work environment as good as possible. So how can you do that? First of all, you can find a team to work with, a team within the same school or within the same district or the same area, the same country, so that you can maybe share ideas, so that you can receive ideas and get better. So I think this is quite good. For me this week, I decided I planned a planetarium to come to my school. It's a mobile planetarium, and I planned that for all my team, my teacher team. So we have 10 sections, so 10 classes of science. So we're working on putting that together. And then the last one I did this week was to prepare for a lab for next week. So we're going to be working with Alka-Seltzer that dissolves in water. But if you have 10 sections and you need Alka-Seltzer for 10 classes, that takes a lot of time. So I went to too many stores to be able to get the 10 boxes. They're little boxes of 24 pills, but still, I know that it's important for my team. It's important to make sure that we create hands-on activities so that students can learn as well. Because if you only do something on paper, if you only do something on video, I don't think people will learn as much. You need to do hands-on activities. That's what teaching is all about. That's what learning is all about. And I hope that that's what you're doing in your life as well. So let's see if we can summarize for you. So what I want you to do is find ways to plan your non-negotiable. So I mentioned for today, find a way to feed your body the best way you can. I think that's important. Second, find a way to move your body more often and more so that you can stay active. And third, you need to feed your soul and learn every day so that the more you do that, the more you'll be able to be a role model for people around you and then become a better person. And the fourth one is to take action, because if you don't take action from what you know, then you've got all the knowledge of the world, but there's no transformation possible. The only way to transform and become better is to use your knowledge and apply that knowledge and share it with others and help others become better. On this, I wish you a wonderful evening, and I will see you next Wednesday in the next podcast. And on this, take care. Very happy to have talked to you today.